Hello, this is Mike Fauché. In today's video, I'm excited to go over the new Acasis Thunderbolt 4 docking station. This is a 21-port dock that provides a ton of expansion for your Mac or your PC, and allows you to attach things such as external drives, monitors, and other peripherals. It has a built-in 2.5 gigabit network adapter, HDMI, SD and TF slots, and a ton of USB ports. If you want to find out more about this new Acasis Thunderbolt 4 docking station, then stick around for the rest of this video. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help support the channel. Before we get started, Acasis did send me this device to review at no charge, but they haven't paid for or influenced this video in any way. As with every review I do, the results, thoughts, opinions are my own. I've been using a docking station in my daily workflow for more than 2 years, and I rely on them for expandability to hook up all of my devices to my Mac Studio, such as 2 additional 4K monitors, speakers, video capture devices, and quick access to SD cards. Usually when you look for a docking station, you look for several things, such as the ability to add multiple monitors, attach external storage, and increase the number of ports in your system. And if you plan on using the docking station on a laptop, of course, you want it to supply enough power to charge your device. And finally, you want it to have great performance. I've been using the Sonnet Echo 20 first generation now for more than a couple of years. At that time, it was the best performing and most reliable docking station available, but it was really expensive. Since the day I got it, it's been attached to my Mac Studio and has been my daily driver since I got my computer, and overall I've been really happy with it. When Acasis reached out to me to see if I would be interested in testing their new docking station, I of course jumped at the chance, as I use several of their products on a daily basis, and I was interested to see if this performed better, or at least on par with what I was using, especially given the lower price point. Before we put this through its paces and see how it performs, let's see what's in the box and go over the specs of the device. In the box, you get a power cord, a Thunderbolt 4 cable, a 240 watt brick that delivers up to 90 watts of charging power, and of course the device itself. Looking at the front of the device, there's a power button, 2 10 gigabit USB-C ports, 2 10 gigabit USA ports, an SD and TF card slot, multifunction jack, a 30 watt power delivery port for charging devices, and 2 USB 2 Type A ports. Looking at the back of the device, there's another USB-C 10 gigabit port, 3.5mm jack, 3.5mm headphone speaker jack, 2 10 gigabit USB-A ports, a 2.5 gigabit network port, an HDMI 2.1 port that supports 8K at 60 Hz, 2 Thunderbolt USB-C 40 gig ports for your high-speed devices, and a 40 gig Thunderbolt 4 port that connects to your PC or laptop, and the power input jack that supplies the power from the power brick to the dock. At the bottom of the device, there's a rubber pad on this docking station, as this is designed to be vertical, and the pad helps it remain stable and not slip around on your desk. Before we get into testing, I wanted to clarify that all Thunderbolt devices have a maximum shared bandwidth of 40 gigabits per second. However, it's shared for both PCI devices that are plugged in, as well as video. The Thunderbolt spec mandates a minimum of 32 gigabits per second for high bandwidth PCI devices, leaving the 8 gigabits per second for up to 2 4K displays or 1 8K display. Keep in mind as we go through the testing that when testing multiple high bandwidth devices at the same time, it is still sharing one connection to the host, which you'll see during a couple of the tests. This applies to all Thunderbolt 4 devices and docks, and not unique to this or any specific manufacturer. To thoroughly test the device, I tested each device as a standalone and then combined some of the devices to run simultaneously to show the effects of pushing the device. All the testing was done with a 4K monitor plugged in so that there would be bandwidth being consumed during the testing of other devices. To start with, I tested the network performance of the 2.5 gigabit per second network port, which I plugged into my 10 gigabit switch. As you can see from the results, there is a difference between the upload and download performance, which I've seen in other docking stations, but overall the performance was pretty solid. I replicated these results using a USB 2.5 gigabit adapter attached to the dock and got exactly the same results, so it leads me to believe but the difference is coming from something in my particular setup or connection. Next, I wanted to see how a 10 gigabit USB 4 device would work plugged into one of the high-speed Thunderbolt ports in the back. And as expected, it had no issues saturating the 10 gigabit connection and performed as expected without any issues. I attached a high-speed external NVMe to the other Thunderbolt port in the back so I could see how high-speed storage performs. Before running the test, I ran the same drive attached directly to my Mac to establish a baseline performance and see how much impact, if any, there would be to performance when attached to the docking station versus a direct connection. As you can see from the side-by-side benchmarks, there's a marginal impact to performance, and the results rival all other docking stations I've tested, including the one that I'm currently using. For the last standalone part, I tested the SD card, and as expected, the SD card performed as advertised, and I had no issues testing any of the cards that I currently use. Now that we've tested the individual devices, let's see what happens when we push the dock a little bit harder. For the first test, I tested an external NVMe storage and the internal 2.5 gigabit network card, and from the benchmarks below, the performance when run together are almost identical to what we saw when they run independently. To push things a bit harder, I ran the benchmarks on both external NVMe and the attached external 10 gigabit network adapter. As both of these are high bandwidth devices, I did expect some fluctuation in performance, but overall handled it really well. If you look closely, you will see that there are times when one or the other slows up a bit, but given that all these devices are sharing one Thunderbolt connection, which includes a 4K monitor, this is overall excellent performance from the docking station. Overall, this is a great docking station with very good overall performance for a very competitive price. I had zero compatibility issues, and everything I attached to it worked without fail. Even when my Mac went into power savings, the dock and everything attached to it came back as it was supposed to, which is something I've had issues with on other docking stations. I left links to the Acasis store should you want to check this out or any other products. Anyway, that's about it for today's video, and a special thanks to Acasis for sending me this to review. If you find these videos useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.